Hey there, my last ice boil blew up, so I'm selling out and making a second one. Enjoy. Oh look, here comes the protagonist, Griffin, who sadly, despite his name, is not a bird cat. Griffin gets dragged to the spring fair by his best friend Aspen, though I guess she's not as important as you might think because you never see her again after the first episode. They play some fair games together, but Griffin quickly ditches Aspen for a cute girl. Sparrow, Wisp, and Griffin have a great time and are really getting along, but then the police decide that they're having too much fun and try to arrest them. Griffin knew as an introvert that this social event would end in disaster. Sparrow runs from the cops, and Griffin follows her, but then he regrets that decision and blames it on her. The next morning they wake up in the middle of a forest. Luckily, Sparrow quickly finds a path and they both decide that following the mysterious path is the best idea. Then they continue arguing about every little thing and decide to split up. Sparrow finds a clearing and thinks to herself, this would be a nice place to live, and waits for Griffin. Griffin trips over the air and yeets himself down the hill. He decides this is fine. Sparrow gets tired of waiting for Griffin and goes to find him. She picks him up from the bottom of the hill and plops him into the clearing. The next morning when they go to leave, Griffin realizes that falling down a hill was not fine and that he needs more time to recover. They finally stop fighting and kiss and make up. But then Sparrow disappears. Griffin searches everywhere for her, and after having a cryptic dream, he wakes up in the middle of a crossover episode. Sparrow had been kidnapped by Ares, who thought she was his daughter, and then once he realized she wasn't, he decided to use her to fake his daughter's death. This makes Griffin sad. After helping finish the Ares War, he goes back to his own series. He returns to the trails in the clearing, but it's not the same without Sparrow Wisp. Right as Griffin decides it's time to re-enter society, he gets knocked into a dream by a strange bear. "Who are you?" he asks. "Too complicated for your brain to understand," they reply. They tell Griffin that they can help bring Sparrow back to life, but he has to promise to stay and live on the trails. He desperately agrees. When he wakes up, he's back in the town where Sparrow died. He steals a shovel and runs to the graveyard to break some more laws. He digs up her grave and brings her back to life. But oh no, she can't remember him. He recaps everything that happened to them on the bus ride home, but she still doesn't remember him and decides to move back in with her ex instead. Griffin becomes a sad snowman. But he decides to give it one last shot and marches down to Jim's house.
I come for to find me, Jim. Well, here I am, and I guess you're him.
Who the heck are you? Meanwhile, Sparrow sees herself on the news and suddenly remembers everything. She runs to save her boyfriend from her other boyfriend. Jim wins the fight and goes inside, leaving Griffin out in the snow. Griffin decides that he's had enough and this was too much work. But thankfully, Sparrow Wisp runs up and changes his mind. Sparrow kisses him, then dramatically faints. Griffin realizes that they should be getting back to the forest before she loses all the magic keeping her alive, so they call Sparrow's brother and sister-in-law to help them move. They build a nice camp in the clearing. After Sparrow's family leaves, she tells Griffin that he should go with them too, and that he didn't have to stay out here with her. "I couldn't leave even if I wanted to," he replies. She decides to take that as a compliment, and they live happily ever after. Or at least until the next chapter of my universe where a bunch of dragons try and drain the magic from the forest, but that's the story for another time. Thanks for watching! This was not how I originally planned to share this story, but after having this series in production for almost 2 years, I figured it was time to let go and move on. Hopefully you enjoyed all this, and if you're interested in learning more about the actual lore, I'll be putting that in the description. See you guys in the next one.